We're going to go over how to start refining your mass assemblies so that it looks a little bit closer to a building. By default, when we place these floors and roofs, they may be overlapping a lot of our walls. And so I want to give you a couple options to start editing these elements so they don't look so glitchy and they look a little bit more precise. We talked about aligning or attaching walls to roofs, and that's a good way to connect things around the border. But when you start to connect walls to floors, you have a different issue. Right here you can see this floor by mass goes through the wall, and what I want to show you is the cut and the join tools. Now these are going to be a little bit of an experiment, a bit of a trial and error. They do similar things, but they sort of do them oppositely, and oftentimes they do the opposite of what you intend. So let's start with cut here, and again you can always hover over a command. It tells you what it does, and then it usually shows you this tooltip with a little animation. And if you select the tool and hover over something or just leave your cursor, you can see it gives you a tooltip. It gives you a tooltip down at the bottom as well. So it's telling us select the element to be cut. We're going to select the floor, and then we're going to select the wall. The wall is the cutting element, and the floor, the first element, is the element that we want to cut. So I also have a check mark here turned on called multiple cut. Let's go over to the tower portion of this mass. This floor hits all four sides of the building. So what we can do is we can select the floor, which is the element to be cut, and now it's telling us to select the family instance to cut with. So because I have multiple cut on, I can actually select all four sides of the tower, and now if I hide this wall for a second, you can see that floor is being properly cut. If you're later in the stage of applying your assemblies, you can also turn off your mass, and if you go to massing in site, you might have this conceptual or show mass form and floors. You can turn that off. The alternative is to go to your visibility graphics, VV, type mass, and make sure mass is unchecked. Sometimes if this is unchecked and this is checked, it will default to showing the masses. So just keep that in mind. Again, if you have a view template applied, you will go to view template, find the VG overrides model, and this is where you would turn off the masses. Mass floors are also a subregion of masses, so if you want to keep the masses on but turn the mass floors off, let's do that in the visibility graphics here. Your mass will turn on, but your mass floors will not. Another tool that I've explained, but I want to show again, is the align tool, where we can choose essentially any face or line and align a plane or a line that can exist in the same datum to that point. So to give you an example, we talked about making this sort of a parapet wall. Let me go ahead and turn my masses off here. So we want to make this wall the same. I can pull the shape handle so I can see the top of the element, but to be a bit more precise, I can use AL or align, hover over the top of the face of the wall that I want to align to, select that face, and then select the wall that I want to align to that face. And again, you can always pay attention to the tooltip. It'll give you some other options to deal with. There's also the multiple align button, so if we run AL again, make sure that the multiple alignment is on, and you can select multiple walls to align to a point. I want to show you how the join command works as well. I think we're going to have a preference early in the semester towards the cut tool rather than the join, but I'll show you how the join tool works and how Revit starts to think about how assemblies start to join versus cut each other. So here I have a section box of the tower portion of my model, and I'm just selecting that section box, which is turned on here in the view properties, and I'm moving it in so I can see some of the cutaway properties of the tower. And here I have a floor, a couple different floors. You can see that if I select one of these floors and I try to run the join command, what it's going to do is prefer the floor. Here I have an assembled wall, so I have 2 layers of finish on either side with some structure in the middle. We'll have a whole topic conversation about assemblies and how to edit them and how they work. But let's try and run the command for that. And you can see that it does the same thing. It cuts through all of the finish layers. But if I have an assembled floor where I have a wood joist, an abstracted version of a structure with some sort of structural floor and a finish floor, now if I try to join these elements, it will do something a little bit different. So Revit is thinking very much like how it's going to be built in the field. And so if you're having problems with the join tool, it's probably because it's thinking about how to join things as structure and not necessarily as diagram. So here you can see I joined this floor with this wall, and it just pulled the structure all the way through. In this instance, if I accidentally joined, you can always run the join dropdown and unjoin the geometry. Select the element that you want to unjoin with, and it will basically put it back to its default. And in this instance, I would run the cut command to cut it back. You can also do the dropdown to undo that or uncut the geometry by selecting the element and selecting what is cutting it.